Today we're gonna talk about something very important, which is securing the infrastructure. We're gonna actually talk about something called uh, NFP. NFP stand for Network Foundation Protection. What is Network Foundation Protection? It's an idea of actually it is an idea of categorizing specific network functions and then implementing the correct security measures to build the best possible security we can for the our network and to have more security in our infrastructure. So let's put this an example. Now let's see we have a house, for example. We want to buy a house. This house, we cannot buy a house with only door. We have a door here. Cannot only buy a house with a door. The house should actually have a windows. Should have a door. Should have a window here. The window should have some fans. The door should have a lock, so we can lock the door, so we don't have thieves coming in anytime they want if we're not presenting inside the house or we're not there, and the fence so no one can jump in from the window and just steal whatever he wants. And if we don't have uh, these elements, we cannot buy this house. So that means it's you know useless. So in the infrastructure network, we cannot have a network that's not working very well or has some weaknesses, and if it does, the whole paradigm of security is gonna be very weak and useless. So in security, there is so many possibilities of things can go wrong, vulnerabilities, weaknesses that attackers might take an advantage of. So now, if we want to talk about the NFP, we need to talk about what can we expect from an attacker, what kind of attack we can expect, and then put the countermeasures for those attacks to be like in a great shape and protect ourselves. So now that's why we wanna talk about the NFP. So this FNP actually, what they have done, they have broken, the 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 infrastructure into three uh, main elements: management plane, and then we have the control plane, and we have the data plane. So the management plane doesn't mean a plane like an airplane. It means a function. Function means for example, means a device. Anything that function, that have any function kind of functionality. So when we see a word plane, okay, it means function. That's why we have here function slash plane that have same meaning here. So what we will look at first, we'll go ahead look at the management function. Okay, so that means, what does that mean? That means the management function means like a router, switch, or or any device that allows, or firewall, or any device that allow the administrator communicate with that device to give, for example, to give instructions or implies the abilities to for that device to send the login messages to, like syslog to syslog server. So when I say administrator, means some allowed administrator means an administrator that allows to do uh, this configuration to have access to those devices. So what could go wrong? For example, if we let anyone go ahead and manage those devices, what will happen? Maybe this you know person doesn't know how to use the devices and he doesn't know what to do, or an attacker could mess it up. So uh, management, it's the ability actually it's the ability to manage the devices that you have in your network. Now, we're gonna talk now about how we can implement that, how we can implement that to have this access, this administrators access all of our devices. We have to use a secured way to do that, you know. So, so the example of this management functionality could be, we can use, for example, some tools, secure tools like SSH sessions to telnet to the router or switch or firewall. That way we can have like a secure communication to our network devices, you know. Or we can use, for example, CCP, Cisco configuration professional. Or we can use syslog to log all the messages to syslog server, but that's not recommended because it's not secure connection. Or we can use SNMP, but I don't recommend using SNMP version 1 or 2 because they're very weak. They have very weak security. But the version 3, SNMP version 3, it's a very good. It's very efficient when it comes to security. So. So the thing is, how can we secure these devices or secure our network? So to do that, we're gonna talk now about this content here, how to secure the your network. You can use use those tools, but you're gonna have to use them using some encryption protocols like like VPN, uh, LLS, SSL. Sorry, you can use also the AAA server. The AAA server means the using authentication, authorization, and accounting. That's what that stands for. Uh, and we have to be sure that we are doing it out of band and far from the normal traffic. Should use it with the management traffic. So it doesn't have to be close to user traffic because that way the anyone can eavesdrop on the our traffic that's what we're using to connect to those devices. So so we can use, for example, a channel like a VPN channel, so we can have a secured connection to those devices. So we talked before about the AAA to use to use the first A is authenticating the users. Second one is second A is authorization users, means what kind of authorization you will have them to do, what can they do on the router or the any device. And the accounting is the last A. The third A is accounting. Accounting is what you're gonna check what's on the server, what have the users done into those devices, or what kind of configuration or commands they have launched on the devices. So we can have also something like restrictions, like restrict some users from having connection coming from somewhere uh, to another place. So for example, if you have an attempt to log in from to a switch or router several times, like 3 times or 5 times, you could put a timeout if they have like a login failure. If they fail to log in, you should put a timeout for like 5 minutes or 10 minutes or whatever you can configure and specified or defined on the router itself. Uh, so, so if someone doing for example, a brute force attack, which is a very bad thing to happen to your network. So they'll keep like a brute attack will keep trying password after password after password by using any kind of password list or dictionary. Uh, and we don't have any limit and place. They can try like millions of passwords, and you will not even be able to notice that the attacker is doing that. You know, because there's a big dictionary of passwords and combinations that can be used, and and try and keep trying like to break the password and get into the device. So if someone, for example, logs in with the incorrect password uh, 5 attempts within like a minute or 2 minutes or 5 minutes or whatever you wanna define, they will just go ahead and be disabled for the full minutes or full hour, or disable them forever until you open their user again. So this way the attacker will not be able to go through like a million of different passwords, because if he tried 5 times to attack to brute the to brute force our device, to try to get into our device and try 5 attempts to break in the password, he will not succeed, because we have to stop him by limiting how many attempts he could have. This way, he will not be able to, uh, you know, uh, get a hold of our password. So, with all of this strings of password, he needs to wait 5 minutes, then wait for another 1 minute, then try again 5 times in 1 minute, and wait for another 1 or 2 minutes. So you can configure your device to have this kind of permissions. So there is something called also what we're gonna talk now about is the role-based access control. So if we have people like a help desk that need access to the router, we can to look for the statistics or to just check some basic configurations, or so we can just give them the access that they need. We don't have to give them full access as admin access. We just give them the role that they are in. So if you give access to people more than they need, they might just mess up something by accident or on purpose, or do a mistake because they have access beyond what they are need. So now we're going to talk about NTP. So if we send it, like for example in NTP, we like it's a network time protocol. If we send in syslog messages, and we are sending it so on the right time, and want to make sure that nobody spoofed our time, secured NTP, we can authenticate the correct time. That's we are not being lied you know about the time that we have access to, or access the device, or the syslog will not have some kind of miss timing between what happened and the time it happens and the time the configuration was done or the mistake was done in the router or switch and the time that syslag has for us to to verify later on if there is any problem. So this is the management function plane. I hope you understand me, you understand what I explained and enjoy. Thank you.